Hello my little friends, today we are going to use Yourgame 3D to create the spine of your game. Basically everything your players won't be able to see, but everything that makes your game an actual game and not a movie. So everything that makes the game interactive. So we are going in mode and function or logic, so that's the logic editor. And we are clicking on this blank page here to create a logical function. So name it camera control. So as you might have guessed, we are gonna tell Yourgame how the camera is supposed to react in the game. So I'm loading in the window menu the node creation window. So I'm gonna take one node, which is the point, well, the precise point, the point the camera is supposed to be pointed at. So I have dragged and dropped this node here on the function. As you can see, a node is a little box with dark blue squares on its left and on its right. So now I'm taking in the function 3D functions tab one node that I will repeat 3 times. So the node is object data. As you can see, some nodes have inputs that are activating the node. Some other nodes have outputs. So they are just designed to activate other nodes, and some are in between. So I'm linking the X position to the X position input, Y position to the Y position output, input, sorry, and the Z position to the Z position output input. So actually, what I'm telling the game right now is that the camera is supposed to be aiming a precise point, which is 3 coordinates of the object which is concerned by this function. So I have taken this line on the column on the left, which is function object. You will probably ask me, why are you using this line, function object, and not the name of the character? That's pretty simple actually. It's just because like this, your function is always usable, even if you use it on another map or on another game. So in the zone editor, I'm loading the object settings after I have clicked on my character, and I have clicked here on object functions, and I have added a new function. So if you click on add, all the functions you have created for this game will appear. So now I'm saving it. So let's go back to see that. What we have done here, translated to English, means that your game will tell the camera that it has to be aiming your character. Now we are going to do something else. So we are going to put another node, which is the camera following node. So I'm going to tick this box, collision. If I do not tick it, maybe the camera will probably do some bugs. If well, it could probably get stuck in a wall. So I'm linking the 3 object data nodes to the 3 positions. Notice that one output can be linked to an unlimited number of inputs, but well, the contrary is not true. One output has to be activated only by one input. So I'm going to put other nodes here. So the first one being an object data once again. I'm still using the function object node. And so here I'm using Y angle. So Y angle, the angle compared to the Y axis. I'm also using a value. So the value node is well, a fixed number that you're giving. So here this fixed number is gonna define the distance at which the camera is, well, that will separate your player, your character, and the camera. Basically, this value of 200 means 2 squares on the Yourgame 3D terrain editor's grid. You know, the blue grid with all the squares. 1 square is 100. So that's how the units work. Then I'm gonna also define the height Hate or height? Well, it's a tough debate, just like potato. Anyway, I have to set one last thing, which is the smoothness. So I'm gonna put another value node. If I set this value to 1, the following of the camera will be totally instant. So there won't be any extra time and any little moment between the moment when you press the button and when the camera follows your character. So now I guess we should test this. So to test the game, we are going to create a root function. The root function is something very important. So I'm creating it and I'm clicking on this icon here at the top right corner. And the top right corner. So I'm choosing the map. If I had done a game that had to start with a menu, an interface, I would have defined an interface. That's not the same thing, so I'm just gonna use the map yet. And that's it. That's how the root works. So I have this camera function here, and I have the root function, one concerning my 3D object and the other one concerning the game itself. So in the test mode and test, to load it, you can choose the resolution of the test mode, you can choose some things, some settings, but the most important thing is the root function you have to choose. If you don't choose your root function, the game will not be able to know what it has to do, and so it won't work. Don't worry, if you are making a whole game, everything is automated. And here we have a character that is followed by the camera. And you're probably going to tell me, yes, but my character doesn't move. Yes, he doesn't move. So what? There are kids in the world who starve to death, and you are telling me that your character doesn't move. Oh, alright, that's a legit question since it's a tutorial, so we're gonna solve this problem. I have created another function here, and the name is object control. So I'm loading this, and I'm putting on the function a key node. So the key node is one of the most useful nodes in Yourgame 3D. So I have to click on this field and then press the key I want to use. So here I have pressed the up arrow, and the unfolding field here will be set to is pressed. So this key node will be activated when I press the up arrow. Then I will use an object movement node in 3D functions, object and object movement, and I will link those two nodes together. So I will link the output of the key node to the input of the object movement node. This means that if I press the up arrow, my object will move forward. So I'm still using the function object line. Get used to this because it's something that will be very common in Yourgame 3. And so here I will add a value. So basically this value defines the speed at which my character is going to move. And now we are going to test this once again. So we still have our root function. I'm loading the game. Basically, this video is a bit slow because I'm recording the video, and the test mode requires some system resource, since it has to be to prevent some bugs and to check them, to report them to you. So it's of course slower than the actual game you can make with Yourgame 3D. And here we are in the test mode. I'm pressing the up arrow, and what? Nothing happens. Okay, don't panic. I had planned this, of course, yeah. Shit. No, of course, I had planned this. This has been done to show you a common mistake people do with Yourgame 3D. So you have to go back in the zone editor and load the object settings, select the character, and as you can see, we are going back in the object functions tab. And yes, of course, we have to add the other function, the object control function, because if we don't add this function, of course, there's no reason whatsoever that the game could understand what you want it to do. So usually people forget that and then do not understand why it doesn't work. So you have to, each time you have a new function, to add it to your object, to the object you want to be concerned by this function. I'm sorry, my English is getting pretty bad because it's very late in the evening and I have been speaking French all the goddamn day. So, as you can see now, the character can move forward. Well, yeah, that's pretty lousy because he's been stopped by a little hill, and yes, this is a bit ridiculous. Well, we are seeing some progress. So now we are gonna resolve this problem. We are gonna find something new, so a new solution to make it so that your character turns around and can avoid this goddamn hill, and of course so that your character can walk and not, move on the ground like it's hovering above the ground. Well, that could be a style, but let's do it. So I'm putting the cursor data on the function, and cursor data will be activated by X movement, which means a movement done horizontally with your mouse. Here I am adding a node which is the mathematical operator. That's a scary name, don't freak out. That's not something complicated. It's just that you have to tell your game to add or to make an operation with two values. Here we are making an addition between two values. The first one being the movement you're making on the horizontal axis with your mouse, and the other one being the starting position of your object. Because if you don't have a starting position, the game won't be able to understand how it's supposed to react to the movements you make. So here I'm putting the rotate object node, and the math operator will activate this node and will change the Y angle. Well, we'll rotate the object around the Y angle. So here I don't have to add another function to my object because, of course, the object is already concerned by the object control function. And here, well, it works, doesn't it? Yes, it works. So the character is still hovering above the ground. It's floating in the air, but still it works. He's not walking either, but at least now we can control our character. I don't know if you noticed that, if you realize what we are doing here, but we have in 14 minutes done something that is very interesting, because we have a character that we can control. Usually when you make an amateur video game, that shit takes hours. Really, if you don't believe me, try to do it using code lines. So let's create another function which is named object animation. So we are going to animate this object. So once again, we're using the key node. I'm pressing the up arrow, and I'm using another node, which is here in 3D functions, play animation. Well, it's going to play an animated sequence. So I'm going to link the key node, the output of the key node, to the input of the play animation node. And here I'm choosing the map that is concerned by it, because if you have seen the previous tutorial about about animation, creating animations, you would understand why. So see it if you don't understand what we are doing here. I have ticked this box here, which is the loop box, because if you don't tick it, the animation will be only played once. So you have to tick this loop box if you want if you want your game to replay the animation, so that the character can walk forever. I'm adding a value node to define the transition value. Transition is basically the time that is required for the game to play another animation, the time between one animation and another one. For example, between a walking sequence and a jumping sequence. So here we have defined the speed, we have defined our transition speed, and we have selected the walking animation. Walking animation that we have created in the previous tutorial, in the previous video. So now we're gonna add another play animation node, same map, same function object, but we're gonna use another animation, which is the idle sequence we have created in the previous video. Why is that? Because if our character doesn't move, we want it to be, of course, able to play an idle animation, so that he looks bored or waiting for something. We're going to put another operator. Don't freak out. The name is non-logical operator. That's not complicated. It just means that if something is not done, then the non-logical operator has to do this. So here what you see on the screen, translated to English, is if the up arrow is pressed, then play the walking sequence. If the up arrow is not pressed, then play the idle sequence. I think that makes sense for every gamer, that a character, when he or she or it is not walking, is waiting for something. So I'm going to add the other function here. We have created the animation, the object animation function. So I'm loading it. Done. Back in the logic editor, if you want to see once again what we have done. If you don't realize what this is somehow as big as 200 lines of code. No, maybe not 200, but that's very, very quick and much quicker than doing code. So back in the test mode, solution. As you can see here, the character is walking now. He's walking probably a bit too fast, like he's not really walking very fast, but he's moving his legs very fast. So we have to reduce the speed. So I'm just changing the value. Back to the test mode. When you start doing a game with Yourgame 3D, even with the demo, because this can be done with the demo as well, of course you will be probably surprised to see that you'll be probably surprised to see that you do that all the time, testing Yourgame. That's one of the fun parts of creating a game. When you start seeing that it works and that you can do something, and well, I mean, that's very pleasurable. So as you can see here, my character is walking, and he's walking properly. Yeah, somehow I need maybe to make the camera moves richer, so we're gonna change that as well. So here in the zone editor, in the object settings, I'm gonna load this tab here, object variable. Variable, just like in math if you were in high school. Don't worry, that's not complicated. So we're gonna call it X camera angle. So this X camera angle here is, well, the angle of the camera. Variables can be very, very different. It could be a list, or it could be a text if you had a dialogue, with an NPC or something. But here it's only a number. So the starting value is 30, so 30 degrees, and we are setting two boundaries. You You don't have to set these boundaries, but I strongly advise you to do it in this case, because it's the angle your camera cannot go over or under. So here we are setting minus 20 degrees under the corrector, and here plus 85 degrees, so almost vertically above your corrector. So we have our variable, and now we are gonna go back in the logic editor. I know my voice can sound very, very tired, because I'm tired actually, and I've been doing this the whole day, and actually I have been switching languages since since this morning 8 a.m. so it's a bit tiring for my poor brain. Anyway, so on the camera control function, I'm loading the cursor data node, and I'm using here the Y position. We had used the X position, so if you move your mouse from left to right, it does something. Here the Y position is if you move your mouse forward or backwards, then it does something. So now we are gonna change something else. So we are gonna modify a variable. So this value modification is always active. And then what's the name of the variable? Well, we have to check this in the zone editor, X camera angle. So that's what we're going to type here, X camera angle. Be very careful if you don't type the same name. Of course, your game won't be able to know what you want it to do once again, and so nothing will happen. So if you have typed the same name, you should be now doing the rest of it. So we're going to do it. First of all, we are going to link those two nodes. But before that, we need what do we need? An operator. So we have used a couple of minutes ago. So I'm going to use another value. So this value here is not going to be a constant value, but a value related to the variable we have set some minutes ago. So the X camera angle is already the starting value, and so once again, using the math operator, we are going to tell the game that it has to make an addition between the starting X camera angle and the angle you are giving it when you move your mouse on the Y axis. So now I'm going to remove one value here, the height of the camera, the height down once again. I'm going to suppress this node, and I'm going to use this one here, the X camera angle, to set the height at which your camera is going to follow in the beginning your corrector. Much more logical. So back in the test mode. We are going to make a tutorial, a video to explain you how to explain to you guys how to how to create a full game, so that you don't have to run the test mode for your users, your players. And so as you can see here, that's, well, behold magnificence. I can move my mouse up and down, well, forward and backwards, and that's cool because the camera moves as well. So now maybe you realize that in 25 minutes we have made something. We have a character that we are able to control and that can move in the 3D environment. I don't know if you realize that, but usually when you have to make your own video game, and that when you start from nothing, it's a bit harder, a bit tougher than that. So I think that's, well, seeing this should make anybody understand the interest of Yourgame 3D. Last thing about the nodes, if you need to help you understand how it works, you can select 3, 4, 5, well, maybe many nodes at the same times. Select them and then make a right click and click on transform into a subnode. Well, as you can see, then on the function it appears as a subnode, and when you click on it, like open the subnode, it opens the subnode separately and you can work on it. Well, of course, inputs and outputs are kept when you pass from nodes to one subnode. Why is that? Why did we add this function? That's pretty simple, actually. First of all, because when you have really big functions that could, well, you will want to eventually have something that looks really neat, just because your brain is gonna, boil, and you will have to be well organized in your work. So I think this helps a lot. And also, and that's the biggest thing, and I'll finish this video with it, because you can share this afterwards. All the subnodes are saved in the Yourgame 3D directory, the Yourgame 3D folder, and this way you can share all the subnodes you have made with other players and also use their subnodes in your game. Well, that's it for the video. Thanks for listening to it, and have a very nice game-making adventure with Yourgame 3D or something else. I don't care. Have fun. That's the most important thing. Bye-bye!